I am sweating. It is nerve-wracking because I know that you guys do uncomfortable conversations. That's your thing. So I have to go there with you. But yeah, I'm scared.
You obviously started Bragg Media and then you run media companies now. You sold it as well. So 8 years on you sold it, but now you run media companies. Did you ever think that you were going to do this in your life?
God, no. When I was a kid, I just wanted to write stories. I just wanted to be a storyteller. I wanted to be the storyteller's storyteller. I wanted to write about people who were doing amazing things.
So tell us about podcasting. You've teased a podcast that you're coming up with. Tell us about it.
Oh, okay. So it's been amazing. The first interview that we're going to do is from Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
Do you know her?
Yep. Let's flip the switch a little bit.
This is a question that I've always wanted to ask. And so why don't you want to have kids, Poppy?
When I was a kid, and so I think the question has gone from why aren't you having children to why are you having children?
What if he changes his mind later on and he's like, you know what, I've seen other people and how happy they are. Would you break up with him?
I don't know.
Full disclosure, today's guest is usually the one behind the scenes making this podcast happen. And she's a multi-award-winning music and culture journalist and presenter.
So today we're flipping the mic. Poppy Reid is in the hot seat.
Welcome, Poppy.
Well done. I was still producing from this end.
Yes. Yeah, you were.
I can't help it.
So Poppy's basically our boss.
That's not true. You're my boss.
No.
I'm liking this dynamic. Let's keep it that way. Sure.
So, Poppy, you're in our hot seat today. How
Why
do you
am I
feel?
so-
How do
why
you
does it
feel
feel so
about
hot?
that?
I'm trying.
How do you feel?
I am sweating. It is nerve-wracking, but because I know that you guys do uncomfortable conversations. That's your thing. So I have to go there with you.
Yes.
And I'm willing. But yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah. No, you'll be fine.
Where do we start? Go
Yeah.
straight into it. Eh?
Yeah, let's go straight
For
into
me
it.
personally, I think, obviously I know you got I've got a daughter myself, and I think, when I meet people that don't want to have kids, I think it's a question that I've always wanted to ask. And so why don't you want to have kids, Poppy?
Yeah, so it's interesting. When I was a kid, I never wanted kids. I was never I never played, mum or mummies and daddies or had dolls that were babies or anything like that. I was just never interested in it. And then as I grew up, I was kind of waiting for that moment of will I feel that intuition to want to have children? And it just never came. And it's been so interesting to see how my peers and my friends and my family have reacted to it over time. So I remember growing up and a really close loved one called me selfish because she was like, I can't believe you're not, continuing your bloodline. It's your legacy and that kind of stuff. And then friends would just go, surely you'll change your mind. Surely you'll change your mind. And then with dating, it was even more interesting because, you meet people that you want to align with your values and you need to make sure that they too don't want to start a family, and that's tough as well. I remember having on my dating profile that I don't want children, and guys literally just not reading my profile and just swiping right anyway, and then you're starting to talk to them and you're like, oh, you literally did not even read my profile, thank you. But now I feel like, well, I know that I'm the majority. And so I think the question has gone from why aren't you having children to why are you having children? And there's so many reasons around that, between the cost of living crisis to the fact that people in our generation are earning so much less than their parents. It's just not possible for some people to have children. And I also see how much work it is, and I have so many incredible mothers in my life, like my sister, my own mother. I just think they're super moms. My sister has a career and raises 3 kids, and I just am in awe of her. For me personally though, I go all in on everything that I do. And I know that if I became a mom, I would give it my absolute all. But I don't like to do things by halves. So I want to choose a creative life as opposed to being a mum. And I've always said to myself, I would much rather get to near the end of my life and have this huge regret for not having children, which statistically I won't, by the way. A lot of people that don't have kids don't regret it. I just want to throw that in there. Than have a child and regret it, because I think that would be so awful for the child and for society in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've just recently gotten engaged. Obviously, congratulations.
Thank you.
We've said it a million
Congrats,
times, but we're
You're
going to say
coming
it to the
party.
public. Yeah, of course we are. But how does, obviously your partner knows that, that you don't want to have children.
You read the profile.
Yeah, he read the profile.
He actually didn't.
Oh, what?
Wait, did it?
Okay.
Oh,
Wait, okay,
wait.
So
what?
here's the thing. At that time, right before I met Daron, I was what they call turbo dating. So I was
Turbo
on multiple dates every single week. I was really trying to play the numbers game. I was ready for the next step. I was ready for my next serious relationship. And I was like, we just need to go on multiple dates a week until we find this person. And so I had multiple people on the go, and I forgot who I had asked prior to going on the date how they felt about kids, because usually I vet them, right?
Yeah.
You say like, how do you feel about having children? And that's kind of a test. Did they read my profile or not? With Daron, I completely forgot. So I turn up on this date. There's this beautiful man who's like such a gentleman, and he's so wonderful. And I'm sitting there looking at him going, fuck, I forgot to ask him. And so I ask him the question, and I think he said something like, oh, I don't know if I've really thought about it too hard. Like maybe if I was with someone and they really wanted children, then I would do it. I don't know. Like he kind of gave a really blasé answer. And I said to him like, shit, I don't want children. I don't know if you saw that on my profile. And he's like, no, I didn't. I didn't actually see it. That doesn't bother me. And thank God he has really taken time to think about it and has decided that he too doesn't want children, and we are on the same path. And we're going to have an amazing, adventurous life together instead. But we both are very clear on what we'll be missing out on. Like, I'm not saying that one life is better than the other. No. There will be things like you experienced, Jono, that I will never get to experience. And I have made peace with that. But on the other side, there's going to be things that as a child-free person that I'll experience that you'll never experience.
Well, what if he changes his mind later on and he's like, you know what, I've seen other people and how happy they are. Yeah. Would you break up with him?
I've thought about that too.
And that's where my mind goes.
It was a big
away.
one because
it might happen.
For me, I don't have an expiry date on a relationship or my goals or anything, because I never want children. So for me, I can have a happy 5-year relationship, and if it ends, I'm like, well, that's okay. Like, I don't mind being 60 and single, by the way. I think it would be quite fabulous.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Turbo dating at 65.
Yeah, I
Sounds pretty hot.
Lucky I found my person and it's forever. But I have no issue with being single. Whereas for Daron, he might get to a stage in his life later where he thinks this is something that I want, and I want this more than I want Poppy. And he's going to have to wrestle with that. But it's easier for a guy to make that decision, just biologically. He can probably have children late in life. He will be an old dad, and that's a sacrifice as well. But I wrestled with it for a while. And this is what I came to. I would rather have a beautiful relationship with Daron that ends in heartache because he wants something that I cannot give him, than not have that beautiful relationship. Yeah. And also, the relationship could possibly, knock on wood, end for so many other ways. Thank you. Could end for so many other horrible reasons. I think for the reason of he decided he wants kids and I don't. Like, how can you hate a man for wanting what so many men want?
I think for me, the main question that I get all the time on Instagram, if I put up a AMA question box, is, are you having kids? Do you want kids?
Interesting.
Are you?
Especially for you
Yeah,
now,
for me. But I think as well, because obviously you've had the most beautiful daughter ever. A lot of people are just like, okay, what's happening next in the Castano world? But yeah, for me, I'm open. I'm just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, either way, I'm not so set on that I want this or I don't want this.
You know what? I don't believe that for a life to have meaning or for a life to have legacy means that you have to be a parent or that you have to have a partner, for example. I believe that a life can be so meaningful and so impactful, and you can have a beautiful legacy without having a family.
Yeah.
So
No,
I totally get that. I think you intrinsically understand that.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I will say, obviously when we were together, we never really...
I think when we broke up, we thought that was going to be our saviour.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be our saviour, to be like, okay, let's have a child.
So you'd broken up and you thought, let's get back together and have a baby
child.
because the relationship isn't what?
How terrible.
That
was just, that was
Where
a
were your
terrible idea.
therapists when these decisions were being made?
She gave up. She was like, I can't help you guys.
She did all right.
But with that said, like, I don't feel like we ever felt like we wanted to have a kid together. However, it was like the next phase. Like, okay, we got married, we bought, a place, we built a business. What's next?
There was this societal expectation.
Exactly. Yes. So for us, it was just like, okay, ticking off a box, I think. But like, lucky we didn't. I mean, that would make a very strange looking kid.
What do you mean? It'd be beautiful. Are you kidding? Two beautiful people having a baby.
Wow.
It looked very similar. But with that said, when I met Aaron, it was a different story. I was just like, oh my God, like you are, like he has the traits of a partner and a father figure to myself that I would feel I'd want my partner as a father to be.
So
Do you
the
know what I mean?
relationship is strong.
Yes.
And so therefore you felt more comfortable, you feel more comfortable to bring a child
I
into
mean,
this world.
his values and the way that he was towards me made me feel like, okay, he would take on that responsibility the way I would want a father to. Not saying that you wouldn't, but...
Or are you?
No. Not saying that you wouldn't. But you and I are very similar in like together, right?
Yeah,
we're very like career driven. Like not saying that can't work as parents. However, I feel like there would need to be a balance. Like I'm very career driven and I'm like work is everything for me. Aaron, on the other hand, he's happy to stay at home and be that father at home. So I think for like us, where would that fit in? Like where did that fit in for us? And we never saw that in our life. So that's why we never sort of went there and said, okay, that's what we want to do. We wanted to have look at the business that we built together. Correct. That's the baby that we've built together and that's the best thing that we have built together. You know what I mean?
That is actually such an incredible conversation.
Because
when you started saying that, I was like, oh, poor John.
Yeah.
But no, what she's saying is that because of your dynamic together, your baby needed to be the business.
Yes, exactly. So that baby is here.
Yeah, that's kind of our business. But in saying that, I think, every once again relationship is different, and I feel like that's why there's so many divorces, because it wasn't meant to that wasn't meant to happen.
No.
Right? And I feel like in terms of for me personally with my ex, I think we were like we're both great parents and we just weren't ready to kind of have a strong relationship, because they're two different things. Having a child and having a strong relationship is so different, and that's why a lot of people do fail at they break up, they have a child and then they break up because they weren't ready for that, and I feel like like if that did happen with myself and you, we would have broken up anyway.
Absolutely.
And probably I'm not even with your relationship now that you've got, if that was to happen, you probably would kill the dynamic of what you've built, the exciting times, because it's not about you anymore, it's about the child.
Exactly.
Yeah,
very
I
true.
say this to Ron all the time. I can't have a baby. I am the baby.
I know. I couldn't imagine like Aaron taking care of. I'd be like, what about me?
Yeah.
Hello.
I know.
I still need my notes and coffee in the morning.
And he said, you'll always be the baby. Don't worry. You'll be my baby. I will take care of you.
That's sweet.
It is a beautiful thing. I need that dynamic.
Yeah. So engagement. What are the wedding plans? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, we're planned it all.
Oh, it's all planned.
It's all happening.
Tell me about the hens. What's the hens plans?
Okay.
Yes. What's the hens?
I have this idea. Everyone knows that the boys' night is the most fun night and the girls' night is the most fun night, and I don't want to miss out on either. So I want to join them both together.
Okay.
I want to have a joint hens and bucks together.
So is the stripper male or female, or what's or both?
Both.
Do we need
¿Por qué no
a
las
stripper?
dos?
Do you need a shot of it? I think that's tradition. No, I don't know.
Is it tradition?
I don't know.
Okay, yes, it is tradition, but why?
Why?
This is what I can't understand is if a guy, it's not his last night of freedom, guys. You know, like, you
it
don't
is.
really.
It is. No, I'm joking.
You are joking. Like, his last night of freedom was when he decided to be exclusive with you.
Exactly.
The night before he decided to be exclusive
Yeah.
with you, I should say. But no, I want to join it all. I want us to all party together. Also, I don't have just girlfriends. I have guy friends too.
Okay.
And I want to get to know his friends more and stuff. And I think it would just be more fun that we party together. I will say that he has friends that are not happy about this.
Yes.
They would love, I think they would love the Bucks with the stripper and everything.
Yeah.
Could have both. There you go.
Yeah, you
Just
could do
giving it-
both.
You
Do
could
a joint
both.
one and
Yep.
then
I've seen
do separate
people-
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I can be the stripper for him later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's true. That's
Exactly.
cool.
You want a stripper? I can
Yeah.
be that. No worries.
Because what was your bucks, Jono?
Vegas. I did Vegas.
Jono did Vegas.
We're still talking about that trip to this day, you know. I
With
think-
your friends?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and my brother's friends and everyone. It was
Yeah.
like their lifetime trip. It was awesome.
Oh, that's
so
so
much fun, and we
nice.
created so many memories.
Yeah.
There was,
Do
you
you
know,
think-
everyone got robbed. There was a stripper that.
Oh, that's right.
No, there was,
The stripper robbed you?
No, that sounds crazy. That sounds pretty cool, but no, it was a story. The story was we were all staying in a massive Airbnb, and then one of the guys stayed up super late, maybe about 2 a.m. in the morning. And then the girl followed him back to our Airbnb, and then everyone was staying there, so we were all asleep. And then the girl knocked him out because he woke up with a black eye, and then halfway through the door, and so then everyone woke up, and then all of our stuff were gone. So obviously, what happens in Vegas is a lot of girls, they pick out people that are really, really drunk, and then they just follow them back to their room. Their pimp daddy comes and gives them a little, good night, and then takes all their stuff. Yeah, so
scary.
the next day for everyone was a nightmare because all the credit cards were stolen.
Oh my
Everything
God.
was Gorski. So
And you're
That-
saying that was a good time?
that's memories, but like we live for
Now
mem-
it's
but like,
memories.
yeah,
In
but
the
like,
moment,
we
you're
live,
just
we
like-
live for these type of moments. You
Yeah.
know, you're like, oh, this is what happened to me in Vegas. You know,
I just think that
That's
shit
not-
wouldn't have happened if Amy and her friends were all there.
But mate, they're all in Mykonos. They're all
We're
too
in
busy
Mykonos.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But do you wish that Jono was there to share that time with you at the time?
No. I needed that girls' trip,
Okay.
honestly. Like, it was like 10 girls in a massive villa in Mykonos. Every night was a different party. Like, it was the best time ever. And I hadn't really done a girls' trip like that before in my life. So
Yeah.
to have that experience for myself, I think is important.
I think maybe it's because me
I
and
think
John are
that-
only
yeah.
9 months in. I just want to
Yeah,
be with him
that's
all
true.
the time.
That's like my relationship
every
now.
day.
I
Yeah.
say that now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be away from my partner. Like,
Yeah.
I want it
Yeah.
to be. If I'll give you an answer, I'd be like, I just want to do it together.
Yeah. But how important do you think it is to have separate lives? Because Aaron and I are very strict on, like, you have to be your own person to be the best in the relationship.
Definitely. And I'm Miss Independent. Like, ask
Okay.
anyone in my family. It's like, I like to do my things, and it's kind of, I've always been that way. And I don't want to be that way anymore. I actually think that part of my independence and my desire for so much independence led to the breakdown of my first marriage. And so I want a little bit of codependency this time around. And I know that codependency isn't a great thing. You just kind of say that as something that you need to fix. But I want to do things differently, and I want to involve Duran in like every aspect of my life. He goes away for work all the time. He's in China, he's in India, he's in Thailand. He invites me every time. I want to go. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. And I want to do the same. I kind of just want to enmesh. I want to
Yeah.
become one.
9 months in.
Yeah.
Wait till you're 3 years in. No, I'm
Yeah,
joking.
true.
I'm joking.
You could be right. You could be
No,
right.
but yeah, no, I get that. But it's also about like balance, right?
I will
can't
find
have-
that
yeah,
balance.
you'll find that
I mean, I'm
balance.
overcorrecting
Yeah.
probably right now in my thought patterns because of the breakdown of my first marriage, and I want to do things differently.
And how
And
did
I'm just obsessed.
Yeah. How did that break down? Let's talk. I want to kind of talk about that. I think
Let's
that's an
go
important.
there.
Let's
let's
go
go
there.
there. You know, and
I mean, I think it was
what
so
happened?
many things. When I met my ex-husband, I had just gotten like proper employment. I'd kind of just come out of the interning phase at a music magazine called The Music Network. Then my career just went from strength to strength, co-founding the Bragg Media, bringing Rolling Stone to Australia, Variety to Australia, like launching all of these different assets, acquiring all these different assets. Business was full on, and it took up so much of my attention, and I was loving it. It was like feeding my soul. It was amazing. And I did a lot of travel with it as well. And then my ex-partner, his work life and his career was booming as well. for him, I think it made him quite anxious to have all of that pressure. I think he will say this to you as well, that it was quite anxiety-inducing, the level of work that he was doing. But for me, I was just thriving. And I've worked through this with multiple therapists, couples therapists, individual therapists, and what they've taught me is that I was getting so much fulfillment outside of the marriage, and so much happiness and so much joy. And that was really hard for him to watch from the sidelines, and really hard for him to come to me and talk about and say, like, hey, I would actually like a different kind of marriage. I want you, but I think I want something different. Because how could you say that to someone who's just thriving? And on my end, I'm just thinking everything is amazing and rosy because he's not sat me down and had this tough this tough conversation. But I will say, and I will always take ownership in every situation, and I will say that I never gave him the space to have that conversation. I never opened up that dialogue for him to be able to be vulnerable and tell me what he really wanted. And so in the end, there was essentially a grenade that was thrown within the relationship, and it was just done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who called it quits, or was it just a
I
neutral?
called it quits, but he did something to make it quits.
Did he cheat on you?
He did.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. But I also want to take ownership there as well, because yes, that is, like, he did something that, because he wasn't able to sit down and have that conversation. And I'm not, there's no animosity towards him. There's no hate. I think I feel for him that he was at this war in his mind, and I think he needed to do something wild to try and mix things up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was really horrible at the time, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Full panic attack mode, like, oh my God, what am I without him? I'm so lost. No one understands me like he does. How am I supposed to start again? Like the psychological fear, the financial fear as well. We were very enmeshed with our finances. So there was so much to be scared about. And then amazingly, you just do the work.
Yeah.
You just like get in the therapy, you do the journaling. I'm just like doing all the things that I'm meant to be doing, and suddenly it just clicks and you're okay.
Yeah.
It took a long time though.
Yeah.
Similar story, you know.
Similar
Yeah,
story
for
to
sure.
us, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd probably say it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
I remember in your first episode where you talked about the breakdown of the
Yeah.
marriage, and you said something like, I had checked out 2 years prior
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Whereas my ownership that I take is that I was getting so much joy outside of the marriage, and I was investing in that, and I wasn't investing in the marriage. So in a way, I had checked out.
Yeah.
But I thought my marriage was amazing because it was serving me in ways that I wanted it to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's speak about your career.
Yes.
Let's flip the switch a little bit. Your career early on, you obviously started Bragg Media, and then you run media companies now.
Yeah. And you sold it as well. I
Yeah,
think that's
you
the
sold
key,
it as well. So 8 years on, you sold it, but now you run media companies. Did you ever think that you were going to do this in your life?
God, no. Hell no.
That was a
It was
straight
like,
goner.
that was a straight no.
No,
Yeah.
like when I was a kid, I just wanted to write stories. I just wanted to be a storyteller. I wanted to be the storyteller's storyteller. I wanted to write about people who were doing amazing things, you know, like from musicians to actors and stuff like that. And
See, I find that so fascinating because, like, I guess for me, when I was younger, I wanted to be the person that was written about. So I always found like journalism like so interesting because I'm like, you want to be like a part of that world, but then also like behind the scenes of that world.
completely.
Yeah.
I find creative people the most fascinating people, especially musicians, you know, to write a song that can move you to your core. Like, have you ever listened to a Taylor Swift song and just cried?
No.
Not Taylor Swift. Okay, just me.
Not Taylor Swift.
Outing myself as a Swiftie.
Adele?
Okay.
Adele. Maybe
Swiftie.
Adele.
Okay.
Okay. Adele.
So you and Adele don't know each other.
Yeah.
Adele is writing about something so personal to her, but she is able to write it where she's literally wearing her heart on her sleeve. She's like bleeding into this song, and that humanity that she's giving connects with you so much that you can't help but cry. Like the ability to do that is amazing. Like, I think creative people have this ability to connect that mere mortals like myself will just never have, and that fascinates me.
Yeah.
And it also, for me, it's a privilege to be able to help communicate that story to fans, because an artist can only communicate who they are in so many ways. You know, it's the song, it's the performance, you know, it's social media. But what I have had the privilege of doing is being able to take their career and the impact that they've had on culture and explain that to fans in a way that they can't do with what avenues that they have. And so I just don't take that lightly. Yeah. So I honestly, when I was growing up, I was like, all I want to do is write a feature in Rolling Stone magazine. Like, that's the goal. And I did that. I think I was like 22 when I had my first long form feature in Rolling Stone. And I was like, cool, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, everything on top is like icing on the cake. This is great. And then a friend of mine at the time, and this is so interesting how sometimes you need someone else to believe in you before you can believe in yourself.
Yes.
He said to me, you should become editor of Rolling Stone magazine. And I was like, me? No. And he was like, you should. He's like, I think you'd be really good at it. And so when my former co-founder, Luke Gerges, came to me and said, I want to start a media company, I want you to do it with me, the whole strategy for Bragg Media was acquisition. So we were growing through acquisition. And I said to him, we should acquire Rolling Stone. We should acquire the rights to run it here in Australia, because it had left the market at that point. And he was like, I don't know about that brand. Like, is it kind of like that big? And I was like,
Are you
come
joking?
on. I was like, it's iconic. And I was like, plus you would make 12-year-old Poppy very happy. And so we started the conversations and eventually brought it to Australia. And so I became editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone, both the magazine and online, and got to write incredible cover stories. And that was kind of what made me understand how important personalities and people are, was writing those cover stories, because I was dealing with like amazing publicists and labels who were like, we only want this writer to write this cover story, or we only want you. So that happened with Troye Sivan, it happened with Tash Sultana, and it happened with Keith Urban as well, where they're like, we want only you to write that. And with Troy, I had to go to LA for it, and they're like, we need it to be you though. And so it made me realize that they're kind of putting this value over people rather than the masthead itself. And then I kind of got into podcasting from that, and then I was like, okay, there's something in this.
You love it.
Yeah.
Hence why we're here today,
That's why
guys.
we're all Tell us a funny story about like writing a cover story or something would have happened with an artist or something. I don't know.
Something funny.
Or interesting.
Like a Stano moment.
Yeah, something unexpected.
Unexpected, there you go.
Oh, there's so many.
Oy.
I remember sitting across from Amy Shark in her home studio on the Gold Coast, and there had previously been all these headlines about the former head of her record label, Dennis Handlin, who'd been fired for some pretty unsavoury behaviour around culture. Alleged unsavoury behaviour around culture. And I asked her about it, and she was like visibly uncomfortable, and she literally looked at the door and like trying to escape kind of thing, like, how can I get the fuck out of here? And she kind of gave me this because we had formed a bit of a friendship at that point. Not a friendship where I couldn't write an honest story, but a little bit of a friendship. And I remember she gave me this like pleading look, like, why are you doing this to me?
Don't do this.
And that's when I knew I was doing my job, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need to go there. Like, that's my job as a journalist. And then, I mean, Keith Urban was an amazing cover story. He was about to sell out like 3 Kudos Bank arenas, and so he took me into Kudos Bank Arena. No one's there, just us, and he played me an unreleased song and told me all about the song, and I was just like, this is a pinch me moment. Like, wow. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah,
It's a good moment. I love Keith Urban.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he sent me like a beautiful text message after the feature came out, and he said something like, thank you for hearing what was on my heart. I'm like, even his text messages are poetic.
So tell us about podcasting. You've teased a podcast that you're coming up with. Tell us about it.
Oh, they're so, okay. So When I was at Bragg, I had multiple podcasts that I was doing. We had Behind the Rolling Stone Cover, where I would like read the Rolling Stone cover story and then talk to the artist about it.
And how long ago was this?
This was a few years. I launched it a couple of years ago. Maybe, what are we, 2025 now? Probably was 2022 from memory.
Okay.
But one of the reasons why I left the music network and went with Luke was because I wanted to launch a podcast, and the owner of the publication at the time didn't think podcasting was a thing. So I'd always been trying to like get into podcasts, and then when I was running the business, I was like, we're doing multiple.
Yeah.
We're doing one for the music network, we're doing one for Variety, and we're doing one for Rolling Stone. And that was when I realized that we got 10 times more engagement on these podcasts than we had gotten from like the written pieces. And I also realized that the engagement came because of the personalities behind it, and because that's what people want. Like there's this stat where 60% of consumers get their news through content creators or influencers because there's this distrust in media. There's this whole thing where people are like, I don't know if I can believe what this institution is telling me, but I absolutely believe what this personality is telling me.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew there was something there, and that's where media was going. And then after we sold the Bragg Media, like because we had that strategy of growing by acquisition, we were in a very shrinking media market. And in a shrinking media market, you can't just tread water. Like you need to grow, you need to be doing things differently. And so we talked about investment, and then we talked about an acquisition, and then ultimately it was acquired. And then with new leadership becomes a new vision. And I wanted to invest more in shows and personalities and podcasts. And the newcomers wanted to invest in the mastheads, which makes sense for them.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I want to do something else. And
Yeah.
I met the incredible Steve Grace, who you know,
Yes.
who introduced me to you. And we started Curious Media. And then through Variety, I met my now co-host, Michael Theo, from Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him for one of the Variety podcasts. And he's so interesting and so thoughtfully spoken, and I just kind of am in awe of him as a person. He, kind of built this career after Love on the Spectrum, and then is now an actor. And his TV show Austin, which was literally created by a guy called Darren Ashton, who was inspired by Michael Theo to create it. He literally was like, I'm going to create a show based on this because I love Michael Theo and I want him to star in it. It's been picked up by the BBC in the UK. It's now on season 2. Like, it's just going from strength to strength. And we really got along as well. So at the end of that interview that we did for Variety, he came up to me and he said, I think we could be friends. I was like, I think we could too. I also just love, like, he is such a straight shooter. When I first met him, like pre-interview, we went to a dinner and we were swapping dating stories because I was dating, he was dating at the time. And I was telling him a dating story about a guy who got really mad at me on Bumble because I didn't tell him what suburb I lived in.
What? Wow.
I know. And I was just trying
these.
to be safe, right? Just trying to protect myself. And I told Michael this, and I was like, isn't he rude? And he's like, I would never do that. I think that, you have to respect a woman, rah, rah. And I said to him, well, Michael, that's because you're a gentleman. And he said, but how do you know I'm a gentleman? You've just met me. And I loved that. I was like, who calls out people like that?
Yeah.
And I had to farm my brain for examples of him being a gentleman. And I remembered that when we walked into the restaurant, he held the door open. And I remembered that I dropped my napkin and he picked it up for me. And I gave him these examples. Yeah. And he was like, well, I suppose you can call me a gentleman then. And I also love that because he's not just taking a compliment that feels empty. He's like, prove it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to take that compliment unless you can prove that it's real.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I told him we were launching Curious Media, he said, I want to start a podcast with you. So we haven't actually launched it yet, or even announced it yet. This can be the announcement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, we've got a little exclusive.
That's awesome. That's so cool, though. That's awesome.
So it's called Untypical.
Untypical.
And
why the name?
Well, I'm neurotypical.
Okay.
And he's neurodivergent. And it's not your typical podcast because you have a seasoned journalist and someone who's very new to interviewing and very new to fame and being an actor. And I thought, what better format than to have him sit across people who are in the film and TV world, from actors to directors to everyone. And he can basically just like ask about their craft and ask how to be better at his own job that he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing. The first interview that we're going to do is with Yael Stone. She's from Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
Do you know her?
Yep.
She was amazing. And so obviously Michael has autism, and he taught me that if you meet someone with autism, you've met one person with autism, because they're all completely different. And so Michael loves, from a professional sense, he loves systems and he loves processes, and I do too.
Yeah.
So we overly prepare for the interview, and then we kind of throw it all out, and we just kind of let the conversation go. But it wasn't always so easy. You know, we've done a few podcasts now where we were finding our groove with one another. It was actually quite difficult for me to understand how best we could work as co-hosts. And we did the one with Yael Stone, and I realised we'd gone over an hour, and, you know, you can't steal too much of Yael Stone's time. It's Yael Stone. And I kind of nudged him and I was like, Michael, so one thing about podcasts is you don't get to ask all the questions that you might want to ask. And he was annoyed.
Yeah.
He was like, no, because we've got all these ones to go.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you can ask one more question. And this is why I love Michael so much. He asks what you just wouldn't think to ask, like what I would never think to ask.
Yeah.
And the final question on that podcast episode is, Yael, are you happy with your life as it is now? And I was just like, isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful.
Thoughtful,
And-
yeah.
Yeah. And her reaction was, she literally goes like this. She goes, Michael, what a question. And now I'm like, we need to ask that every time.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, and then I also have a podcast called On the Record, where I sit down with musicians and chat about one album, and that's just so fun for me.
Yeah.
I love
That
talking
would
about
be,
music.
that's up your alley.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Creative, such a creative act.
Yeah. So where do you think the
Yeah.
future of media
Yes.
is going?
Oh,
That's our last question.
That's
okay,
how-
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael would be thankful if he got
Yeah.
the last question. He loves that. Okay, I think, well, there's, you know, the whole thing of consumers really doubling down on personalities over institutions. You two know that. You're literally, like, I would love to know, like, what percentage of your income do you think comes from brand deals and brand investments? Because brands need people like you in order to sell their product or work.
Okay. Well, that's
I know,
a
that's
massive.
a-
That's
that's
it. So that was our question.
Look, I'm not asking
Yeah.
for a dollar sign. I just want a
No.
percentage.
Okay, so transparently, obviously we have Acero together. Acero is, we don't get paid salaries from that. So we leave everything in Acero because we are really trying to grow that brand.
Smart.
And that's what we want. So I guess
100%.
yeah.
Okay, so this
So
is
basically,
my
you
point.
you can say that that's what we basically
Correct,
live
yeah.
off.
This is-
100%, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I'd definitely say so.
And you live well. Like, I see this outfit, babe.
Yeah,
I see how good you look.
Yeah.
Although you're rocking the
I'm
hockers
rocking
today,
the
and I know
Hockers
that they were
today.
gifted.
Yeah.
No,
Nice.
nothing's gifted, man.
Nothing's for free, Hoka.
There's always something.
Yeah,
Is it, am I saying it right?
it's Hoka,
Hoka,
actually.
okay, Hoka.
Get it right,
Sorry.
get it right.
Yeah, if they're going to sponsor the podcast, I better
Yeah,
get it
yeah.
right.
I'd say 100%. But I
Yeah.
think we live in this crazy world these days. You know, like it's kind of one of those things. Like even like travel, like traveling. You know, you get so many for meal trips. You get so much, like I guess, like Hokas or whatever it is. You get just, you know, go out to restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's all comped, and you know, I'm super
But
grateful for it all.
Going back to what you said, that is the reason why. Because brands trust the voice of a person and a person who has a true, authentic experience with the brand. And for us, I feel we like have our brands that we work with continuously and constantly because we genuinely love them.
Correct.
And I don't think like we're both of us,
So
we
you
don't.
like that vibrator that you
Oh, that was
promoted?
amazing.
Wow, fair enough. Well, Jesus Christ.
When Aaron was away, it was amazing.
That was a good one, wasn't it?
Use my code.
But do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, if Amy Castano is coming out and saying, use this vibrator, and it's a shit vibrator, the fans will know.
The trust
and they
is
will
gone.
call out Amy.
Yes.
And that is your livelihood. You know, the fact that you have so much personal integrity means that if you co-sign something, if you say that something is good, I'm going to look into it. I'm probably going to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's different than when a brand says, like, you know, brands can be bought and sold, you know, and the other way around. So I really think that trend of consumers wanting more from personalities and more authenticity, more vulnerability from personalities, I think that's going to continue in the future, to answer your question. I think it's going to get to a point where creators are going live 24/7. And they're going to do that, you know, the whole online shopping thing, that live shopping is going to just boom, because that's what consumers want. They don't just want to see new, vulnerable, different sides of you. They want to be enmeshed in your life.
Yeah.
Kind of like my marriage.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, something that we do normally is high-low castano.
I can't believe that I didn't know this was coming, and it actually annoys me because I should have prepared for this.
Which you know what it is. Obviously, your high of the week, your low of the week, and something random, funny that happened to you, which is your castano.
Okay, so high of the week is getting over this god-awful head cold. I really was in the weeds with it for a while. The low was definitely yesterday when it was at its peak. I was just hating life. I was sick of being stuck in bed. And the surprise, there's this new TV show by an actress and writer called Lena Dunham, who is she's super talented. She's very divisive, but I'm kind of obsessed with her. And it's called Too Much. It's on Netflix. And it's basically about the millennial girl experience, and I feel so seen. And there's lots of toxic female behavior in there that I identify with. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Wait, are you going to do your highlight?
Oh, do we? No, we don't do it.
You know,
We don't
don't
do it
Take a
anymore.
pause and then it's
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Poppy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I was obviously very nervous at the start.
Yeah.
You two are very good.
I'm
I think we're
glad.
getting
Yeah.
better. I think you know,
Yeah.
when we first started, as you said, just trying to get to know each other.
Yeah, for sure.
No, you
Knowing
have a
how
way,
we work
But
together.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
fun. It's getting for sure.
Yeah.
You have a way of making people feel very comfortable, and I can say that because I have watched it from episode 1 to this episode, and it's so impressive what you're building and continue to build. Like, I am loving watching the dynamic between you two. I'm loving learning about you two through the podcast as well. I think what you're doing is very different. What you have together is like a special sauce
Yeah.
that I don't think can be bottled. Like, I think it's just between you two. It's amazing.
There you go. And now
Yeah.
you can be like, you keep your job and you keep your job.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.